Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's another amazing time at Power to Know. And today we'll be discussing something very important. And you could see that's not just me you have today. You have someone who I would call my brother. I would call is a colleague. Is what the acronyms is actually the adjective to qualify who is actually endless at this point in time. So, but just let me give you a synopsis of who he is really. Mansford Asante, that is the person you have in front of us today. He is a former British Army, an experienced UK tax accountant and financial educator. His expertise in tax planning, wealth management, and financial planning will offer practical steps, guidance, direction on how to strategically navigate across seemingly related spheres of your life. What does that mean? I think that's so much grammar for us, Agamani. I think it means you can give advices in almost every sphere of life because of where you've come from and where you are. And your case is one of those ones which, if you permit me to use this, is one of those stories whereby I would say, when God has brought someone from rag to riches, whereby, from the days of the beginning and that journey, there is nobody better to actually talk about this topic than you are, because you are not reading this from a book. You have lived this. You are an example of telling people, look, if I tell you my story, where I'm coming from, where I am right now, I don't think any of you is coming from where I'm coming from. So for you to get to where I am, you don't have to travel as far as I've come. So I believe we'll be taking from your nuggets of experience today. I'll be asking a couple of questions, but before we dive right into that, I would like to invite everybody, just as you're seeing on the screen, right? This time next week, myself and Mansford Asante and a host of other guests, including our host, Shola Adeshake of Smart Stewards Academy, is going to be there in London, where we are having an array of experts. We're going to be talking about the Smart Stewards UK conference. So I'll be seeing him in another 7 days as well. So the link is there. Scan the screen, scan the QR code, register, make sure you're there. It's going to be an amazing time. You don't want to miss that. So I just thought I'd drop that in. This time next week, Sunday, we're going to be standing up and turning London upside down. You don't want to miss that. So, Ogamani, like I call him, I'm going to be very, very informal with you today because I won't be saying Mr. Mansford Asante, FBI, KGB, all of those things. I'll just break protocol and say, Ogamani, how are you today?
Good afternoon, Ogasam. If I can also say Ogasam, what a joy and what a privilege, to be alive in a time like this. I just want to say a big, big, big well done to you, the team at Power to Know. Hey, hats off for you all for the job that you're doing, and for the audience tonight, this morning, this afternoon, whatever time it is that you come across this recording. It's a privilege and a joy, and I'm honored to be on this platform and to be sharing with you. To be honest, I'll be reading from a book, but the book I'm gonna be reading from is the book of my own life, and and there's a lot to share and also to learn from you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ogamani. It's good to have you here. We started off 2023 apart to know, and the journey is actually you and your money series, and we've been talking about different things in terms of personal finance, you and your money. And today, the topic we're talking about is something that has always bothered me. And what bothers me about this there is I've always wondered in life, how is it some have and some do not have? I don't know if it's just me, but it's always been one of those things that bothered me. That does it mean creation? Does it mean God? Does it mean life is not fair? Why is it that some people are blessed? Why is it some people seem not to manifest that blessing? I'm not going to be spiritual today. I'm going to break it down in practical terms. Why, the question there is, why is it that most people fail with money? And it's a question in which I'm sure many people are out there wondering the same as well. It is not for hard work, because I've seen people who work harder but living like slaves. And I've seen people who have been successful who does not seem to actually go through that measure of labor that the others go through. So there must be more to this thing. So that is what brought up the topic for today in terms of why do most people fail with money? So I'm going to throw this to you. I'm going to throw you right into the deep end, Ogamani. From your perspective, from your life journey, can you just start the discussion tonight? What is the thing? Why do you think, from your perspective, you think people fail with money?
Um, I think thank you so much, and that's very, very true. I mean, I think you rightly said that I am someone who's really come from a very, very humble beginning, and I'm sure tonight through our conversations, some of my life experiences and stories will be shared as well. But there are some things that we need to really, deal with the myths and also to make sure that people know the truth. You know, recently I've been teaching on the book of from the book of Genesis, and in as much as it's not a church meeting, there are principles of life that we can actually learn from the one who gave life to us. And the Bible says, and I said this, it says, um, in the image of God created him, male and female. And him here is man, and man here is every mankind, both the woman and the man created in the image of God. And the blessing that was pronounced upon them was actually pronounced upon them, male and female. And so for me, if we go from the very beginning, we see that mankind is and was blessed. The whole of humanity, we are blessed with dominion mandate. We are blessed to be fruitful. We are blessed to multiply. We are blessed to even replenish. You know, and the ability to manifest this blessing in one's life will not be something that God hasn't done, but it is going to be because the individual concerned has not come to the knowledge of what it is that they need to do to manifest it. So I'm gonna say this, and I love this statement. When the purpose and the value of something is not known, people would say that abuse is inevitable, and that is so true. And for me, I'm tonight, I want you to look at it from a different but similar perspective. When the value, first of all, the purpose, and then secondly, the value of something is not known, people will not even work towards it. People will not even rise up to, want to know more about it. If you don't know the purpose of something, how can you even make it work? How can you even make it prosper? How can you make it to multiply? And so for me, there is a knowledge gap. There is a knowledge gap which has to be, as you would do in project management, you go and do the analysis and look at the gap and come up with solution to be able to bring, connect, join that disconnect, and make sure that people understand that indeed it's not A who is blessed financially or B who is blessed mentally, but all humans, male, female, are blessed to prosper in this life. The outcome, the output, the result of our lives is how we have applied ourselves to that blessing in order to manifest it. So there's a knowledge gap, and sometimes, mostly also, you see that there is a coaching gap. People may have the idea of something, but they haven't been able to get that person that they can guide them or even lead them through the process to get to the point where they are able to manifest that blessing. So everyone is blessed. It's our choices, it's our decisions, it's our knowledge, it's our understanding of how this thing works that gets us to where we are. So I think for now, for starters, I want to put this one out. Number one, do we understand what that blessing is? Do we understand the idea and the concept of money? Do we know how it works? Do we know how we can grow, multiply, increase it? Do we even know how to maintain when you've got an abundance, as we said? Do you know how to to receive, to maintain it, you know. And really, do we know what things we need to put in place to make sure that they transcend, riches transcend to the next generation, so, and our descendants and the descendants and the children to follow after them? These are deep questions. One ought to look at them carefully.
Thank you very much. You've put a lot of things together in that, and I've just taken down a few things, and I'm just going to be I'll pick them and let us unravel them one by each. So, from what you've said, what I can summarize from that there is that means there is nothing uniquely different about people who are blessed. Now we're talking about in terms of financial and people who are not. So that means, like, one of my favorite verse from my favorite book, which I always, the day I got the revelation of that, it set me free in terms of, the rich and the poor, God made them both, but he never said he made them so.
Mm.
So that means everybody's created. We have 24 hours.
Yeah.
That means we're all given an even playing field. Though some people can say, well, because some people are in some part of the world, they be quite, in terms of being advantaged and things like that. But when you look around every community, there is always example of people within that same community that have prospered in terms of finances. So that argument does not hold. So I'm going to start with one of the first points you said. You raised the part, you said knowledge. Now, what is the role of knowledge when it comes to why people fail with money? Can you please expatiate on that a little bit? And if you consider our audience in terms of making sure they can actually comprehend what we are talking about, in terms of, we take them out from the deep end and we just start with them from the shallow, just like a child that is swimming. They first put their feet in the water and it's
Yes.
dangling. It's okay,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
comfortable. So yes,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
Thank you. And to be fair and to be honest, and with all due respect, we are all learning. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we get put into the deep end, we will all struggle. So I think it's good to really start from somewhere where we can all access the information. I think accessibility is important. It's one thing to speak grammar and to speak all these big words, but then another thing to for people to be able to access that information to make meaning out of it. And I think tonight, like your platform, I know your message, you're very live, your family, everything about you has been a great blessing to me. I keep saying this, and it's only a joy and a blessing to be here also to share. um when I talk about knowledge, you know there are things I want you to understand. What has been done can be repeated. If something has been done, it can be repeated. What that means is that if someone has been able to manufacture, to invent something, or to even do something, I can look at that person and repeat it. If someone has been able to go from zero to several, millions, that means that that process they went through, whatever they did, can be repeated. That I'm a firm believer in that. And obviously, us in the corporate world, we know that this is true. Hence, we are very, very particular in the workplace about processes. Let's document the process. Let's understand the activities that are behind those processes, and let's make sure that it's like a template, a book that we can give to some person who, if someone is new and being onboarded into the organization, can they look at that document and then just go through and navigate their way through. And that is the thing. So sometimes people have made it well, especially for families that one generation became very rich, and it seemed to have ended or to end with them and didn't go to the descendants or the generations that followed after. You will see that they did not take the time to educate and to give knowledge as to how to acquire wealth, as to how to maintain it, as to how to grow it, and as to how to make sure that it is generational. It goes to the next generation. So money is of this world. money is of this world. Even if you go back to barter trade, barter trade, it's not something that God designed for man. It's something that man has designed. There are principles that govern it. To make money, you have to come up with something that others value, to part away with something that is important to them in order to get that which they find more important or more valuable than what they already have. So if I had back then cassava and I wanted a salt, I must have the cassava. I must value the salt more than the cassava that I have in order to make me part away with that cassava to get what the salt to me. So for me, it's that money is built, is regulated, functions, you know based on principles. This is very, very important, and that is why I'm very, very convinced that if you apply yourself to that knowledge, if you apply yourself to know how this money comes about, how to make it, how to attract it, how to keep it, and how to grow it, it doesn't care about your color. Money doesn't care about your height. It doesn't care about your gender. Money does not care about which part of the world. Family and friends, I wish to tell you that those excuses, we must put them to aside. That there are other nations that have systems and tools in place helping other people to do well. And that is true. But hey, that was not my story. My story is this: I came from nowhere. I have been, as a child, I cried because I was hungry. As a child, I did not know electricity for a good part of my life, growing up to, if I'm not exaggerating, up to 16 years or so. I lived in a place where there was no electricity. I did not even know anything called mobile phone. I, had to go to the woods to get the root of the plant to germinate. I had to, even when I did so well to pass exams, there was nobody to pay admission fees for me to go to school. But I always told my mother, the one that I grew up with, that, what, mommy, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to make sure that even if you don't have money, I get scholarship. And I set my mind to do that. I hated poverty because poverty made me sick. You didn't have anything at all. The things I went through. And I have gone through a time of, from that place where I did not live in electricity to a place where today I provide power for people to live and to make life comfortable for them. I've come from where I couldn't pay fees. My mom could not pay fees, and go around literally begging people to get money to pay school fees, to a place where I'm paying school fees for people. I've come from somewhere where I was hungry and crying because of lack of food, to a place where I am not only feeding my family, but feeding many, 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 many more. If you're very close to me, you know what I'm talking about. So I think that if you are bent on, if you are determined to make life is full of opportunities. In that village where I came from, you would, even today, go to Ghana, go to Ashanti region. Many people don't know that place, but I grew up in that place and came to a place where even the government of this country, United Kingdom, knows me and appreciates the service that I offer to the government. And what am I saying? What I'm saying is that we have to come out of excuses. We have to learn how this thing works. Money is built on principles. Money functions based on principles. And if you apply yourself to it, to learn it, trust me, it will respect you. It will come to you. Money will even feel comfortable that you are in it. You have it in your possession. Money doesn't discriminate at all. Let everything else discriminate, but not money. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. There were a lot of things coming up from there, which one of the things which I picked from there is money is nebulous. It is not partial in whatsoever. Money takes the form of whoever it's in the possession of. And there is one of the mantra of power to know there is, and this mantra is what we've actually been working by, which is life is governed by principles. Your cell in any sphere of life is directly proportional to the understanding, to the knowledge, knowing, understanding, and applying the principles that govern that sphere of life. That is where I the slogan know, be, do. Your ability to know,
Hmm.
your ability to understand, and your ability to apply the principle that govern that sphere of life. And like you said, money is based on principles. And the quicker people understand that, the better. Because I don't think you said there is what has been done can be repeated. As long as there are people who have gone ahead, who have done something, all we need to do is look for that template
That's
and
right.
replicate that. Thank
That's
you
right.
so, so much for that. Now, the second one I'm going to go into, which is you talk about people giving excuses. And a lot of this has got to do with the mindset. There is this mindset, and there is this thinking about this. There's this belief system, in our coaching sessions, we teach people that there are some false belief systems people are actually abiding by. The belief system whereby, oh, you can only prosper unless you marry into a rich family, unless you know people in the government. You can only prosper unless it's been handed down. You can only prosper, oh, if someone's prospering, oh, they got the money from their dad and things like that. And you know that one thing, there is actually 61% of the top richest people in the world, they have the first generation wealth. What does that mean? That means they are the first people in their bloodline to make that level of wealth. 61%. So the excuses of saying, oh, on every rich people out there got it handed down, it's invalid, basically. And that takes me to the next question. And this is the question of Ogamani. What is the role of delayed gratification? The reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to come hard on the next question, and that is, many people eat their seed and wonder why there is no harvest.
Well, there's harvest, and the harvest is inside you. Glory. The harvest is inside you, and um I will come back to my like I told you, I'll be reading from a book tonight, and it's the book of my life. So here I was, having passed junior high school, got admission to one of the best schools in the Ashanti region of Ghana. And then time during the time, the admission fee was 700,000 cities, which is today Ghana 70 cities. Bring it to pounds, we're talking about £5 or so. And we went round looking for money. We couldn't get that one. Eventually had to be taken to a village school, which there was no such funds and money to pay. And the first year became one of the most difficult times of my life, because I was walking 3.5 kilometers to school during high school. And sometimes you get lucky, and a taxi that has got about 8 passengers in it, somebody will put you on their lap, and then you sit there, or you'll be standing also, in that one, and then you go to school. One day, guess what? I In the village, there were people who were, we called as rich, like fortunate that they had some amount of money to buy bicycles and all of that. And there was this young guy who had a bicycle, and what they used to do, they call it in Ghanaian language kubo kubo, where they would give the bicycle for people to, they'll give you 1 minute, you go and ride it, you come back and give them some change and all of that. And then one day I went there and observed that some of the things that I'm talking about tonight are so true that even in that village, that principle worked. I observed what they did, and I saw a template. Went home, told my mom, I said, and this is probably was about 14, no, about 13, 14. Told my mom that these guys do kubo kubo. Bicycle, I went around and found out that bicycle, then I could, with 70 cities, I could buy a bicycle. So I told my mom, get me a bicycle. It was 70,000, so you'll be 7 cities today. Get me a bicycle. Let me do kubo kubo. When I come back from school, I will do the kubo kubo. That kubo kubo will give me money to use as, pay for my feeding and all of those things to go to school. At the same time, the bicycle would be a source of transportation for me. At that, every time when I sit down to reflect on my life, I just love the idea that even at that age, man can still be wise. Even at young as these days, teenagers are just there's no resilience. When you go through lifetimes that are difficult, also it makes you wise. By force, you are growing. You have to think about how you survive. I said, okay, the bike can be a source of transportation for me, but then also I can make money out of it. Guess what I did? My mom got me that bicycle. Within 4 weeks, I paid off that investment. I paid back. The bicycle became a source of transport. There was another young boy who was from a poor family. I was giving money to this boy to go to school. I was giving money to myself to go to school. I finished secondary school, and the bike I passed it on to my own cousin.
Mm,
That cousin, you know him because I brought him to this country as well. This bicycle, I gave it to him, and then he also enjoyed it. You see, and all of that was because for me, I wanted to make life. But I know that to make life is a matter of patience. You cannot eat what you have to invest. You cannot eat what you have to save. You cannot go for everything and think that the future is yours. That is not true. That is never, never true. Even today, the most richest people on earth, when you look at their life, there are things they delay. You must delay something, not that you're not going to get it, but you are delaying it. So that later on, an income from an investment can also be say invested, and the profit from that investment can go and buy that thing. That's how life works. And if you are not willing to do that, but then everything you want to go and get it today, you will be like what you are. That is not the case. It is this life. This life. Okay. But if you can say, okay, you know what, this is good. You know what? I want it. Think about it this way. My mom gave me the 70 cities, and then the 70 cities, rather than buying the bicycle, I went and then squandered the money, and then girls came and followed me. Because as a teenager, I could have done that as well. But I say, hey, girls, you wait for me, you will come later. This one, you wait for me, you will come later. When I went to high school, I said, you, all of you, I know, you wait for me. And I knew that at every stage, primary, junior high school, senior secondary school, I had to make sacrifices and push certain things far in the future in order to get the things that were necessary, that were required for me to jump onto the next phase of life. And the moment you lack, the moment you eat that seed, to use your word, the day that you decide to put that money in your whatever pleasure you want to spend it on, and decide not to invest it or save it, that day you lose it for good. You lose it
mm.
for good. But if you save it or invest it, though you don't have it now, but you have not lost it, because in the end it will come out. Trust me, if it is food you're enjoying, meat you're enjoying yourself, go and buy and eat. It will come back, but when it's coming back, you know where it is going. You're gonna flash it out. But that person who put that 20 pounds somewhere and put that 10 pounds somewhere, that money will come back. And most of the time, it will come back with interest. It will come back with more than it was put in. So if you especially are like me, going to be a first generation millionaire, or someone who's made it in your family for the first time, you're gonna have to delay a number of things. You're gonna have a plan and work and be faithful to that plan. And that will mean that there are things you will delay today in order to enjoy even the better part of it the years ahead.
Wow, 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 wow. I that really, really hit home with me, Ogamani, to the point whereby I remember there was a time in this happened to my family, myself. There was a point in my family whereby we had a van.
Hmm,
You know, vans, they have two seats and the driver, and there are three of us.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
And we will put ourselves, myself, my wife, and the children, and squeeze all of us into that van.
That's right.
And when we're driving on the road, we tell the youngest one, we put our head down so that the police don't see us. You know, when you were saying that example, it came
Uh,
to me so vividly. And I can
mm,
remember those days whereby, at that point in time, it wasn't because we could not buy a car.
That's right.
that we could use.
That's right.
But there were other priorities
That's right.
that we had to delay and go through that inconvenience for that short period of time. And you're quite close to the family, so you know
Yeah,
us
yeah,
that
yeah.
well. That
You're not
I
making
remember
it
there
up.
was a day,
Yes.
you came to us. You're like, Baba, stop this thing you're doing with your van. Still your family there. Come and take my car.
That's right. I remember that.
And
I
and
can't forget it.
it, it was a phase we were going through because we had other things we were
Mm,
working on.
mm,
So, it was just like when Joshua was fighting, and they said they've got the kings. And he said, you know what, go and put them where in the cave and seal it. Why?
mm,
I don't have time for that now.
mm.
Why? I'm dealing with the battle I need to win right now.
That's right.
So we had some battles we had to win right now. So
Mm.
there are other things we had to put in the shelf and say, you know what? You stay there. When the time comes, I'm gonna
We
bring
will.
you out, put my foot on your neck and deal with
That,
you.
that's
But
right.
right now, I
Mhm.
lock you, I seal you away, and I deal
Yeah.
with the impending battle right now. And that was what happened. And I always say this thing that if you do not know how to delay gratification, 99.9 times you will not make it with money. The reason is because you can't see our wants are greater than the resources we have.
Mm,
Only 1% of the people in the world can actually outspend the money that is coming into them. Only probably less than 1%. So that means the rest of us, we've got to do what? Check and balance, run with a
But
budget.
even with those people, when you go to them, they know money doesn't work like that. So they don't
Exactly.
do. Let me give you an example. One day I sat down and I said, as we know how much some of these guys are worth. So take Elon Musk, billions, and take somebody who's only got like 10,000 pounds worth. You know, if Elon Musk is worth £1 billion, let's make the math simple, and this person is 10,000, has got 10,000, or let's get they are worth £1,000. It for Elon to spend like 10,000, it will be like you spending what, £1. And this is what I use. So for me, I bring things and I compare, and I ask myself, how would Elon spend 10,000? Would he you know, just say it was 10,000 pounds? Let me just buy whatever and do whatever he wants with it. And then I ask myself the question, how am I also spending £1? Is it something that I don't even care about and I just throw it away like that? If he is not doing that with £10,000, which is equivalent to my £1
Uh-huh.
or £10, given my net worth and his net worth, then I should be learning from him.
Yeah.
So even the richest people understand that money is not something that is there to just go and do whatever you want to do with it anyhow. I can't just go and spend because I want to spend. They don't. That's why for me it's so easy to be rich, but it's also so easy to be poor, because when you look at the rich and the poor, their lifestyles are different. They are totally different. One is doing something that the other is not doing. So
Yeah.
where do you want to go? If you want to go that way, follow this template. If you want to go this way, follow that template. And I just wanted to share that as well.
Oh, thank you. There's this myth whereby, it's a common myth among the lower class. I don't want to call people poor, but the lower class, striving to be middle class. They think rich people just
Mm,
spend money anyhow. They think being rich is actually your ability to spend anyhow. And there's this book I've read several times, and the book is called Stop Acting Rich.
mm.
Is by Thomas Stanley. I believe that's the second, because he wrote three books. The first one is The Millionaire Next Door. And you know something I've actually noticed? Almost all wealthy people read. It does not mean reading will make you to be wealthy, but there is a correlation with the level of knowledge they acquire through studying and reading
That's right.
to wealthy people.
Yes.
And also, Dave Ramsey is one of the people I follow as well. They did a study in America, interviewed 10,000 millionaires, and he just really wants to understand who are these people that are the rich people. And so they went around America. They did real life. This is because Thomas J. Stanley did his research 20, 30 years ago. So the data came through, and then Dave Ramsey did his research just 3 years ago. 10,000 people. And the funniest thing there is the correlation between the results is so outstanding.
That's right.
The first thing they found out there is majority of the millionaires actually drive regular cars. So these days when we see a Lamborghini going, we think that's what the rich people drive. I said, no, they don't. And this is hard data telling us this. And that book, Stop Acting Rich, looked at the rich people in America, looked at who are the luxury brands being bought, and now did the equation and found out that, okay, the rich are not buying these cars, are not driving these vehicles. So are the people that are actually buying these cars. And that is where the book came in terms of it is actually mostly people who are acting rich, not acting their wage. And there's one thing I know you hate most is, especially here in the United Kingdom here, is people buying cars on finance. And that thing seems to be, it seems to be one of the greatest killer of wealth in the UK, whereby I know you to the point whereby I know your sedan is a very lovely sedan and it's not on finance. So there must be a wisdom there. So can
No,
you share with us
yes,
in
go on.
terms of from that perspective? Because
Mm,
people think there are some big things that's keeping people poor, whereas there's this saying that it is the little leaks that actually sinks the boats. It is the little money frittering about left, right, and center. And today I'm buying, when you buy Costa coffee, there's another book, The Latte Effect, whereby they did the study and said, okay, if you drink latte coffee every day of the week, just one, that's a 5 pounds or $3 or $5 thereabouts, and you work in a place for 30 years, the money that you've spent is 136,000, give or take.
that's right.
Something you think it does not matter at all is now imagine if you'd invested that over that period of time. That is in the millions.
Yeah.
So, Ogamani, from your experience, what are some of the finance hacks that you've deployed? Because I know when you say bargain hunter, you hunt bargain as if you don't have that money in your pocket.
Uh, Sam, I think this is so true. For me, I see myself as a steward of every resource that I have, and maybe this will bless somebody. This will help somebody. So I have to give account. I have a God that I give account to. Myself also have to give account, and because I have walked from rejection, poverty, sickness, disease, and I've journeyed all of these, um, that path to come to where I am. I have this consciousness every time in my mind that I cannot waste resource. In my house, you know what goes on. And I'm always talking about these things. When I see something being wasted, it pains me because I'm very conscious of the fact that that could be feeding several people. That could be an investment for the future. That could be changing the life of somebody yet unborn. So I am very, very conscious of the fact that not everywhere is like where I am today. And it's just because I have journeyed through those ones. So that helps me. Number one, you must know how much you are earning, and you must know how much you are spending. As simple as that. If we are very honest with ourselves, there are many people that don't know how much they spend, that don't know how much, the month is ended. Look at, I work in finance, you know, in a huge organization, multi-billion pound organization, but every month end, we are seriously busy working out, and doing what we call month end. What are our incomings and what are our outgoings, and where is the reconciliation? If there are things from the source system that we don't, or that doesn't agree with, or that don't agree with what we see in the ledgers, we are trying to reconcile what has gone on in the process. Were there any manual adjustments that we need to reconcile and to make sure that we are very okay, happy, and the data we have validates the result that we actually are showing, or we actually are presenting or reporting on. So organizations are working like this, and you and I must begin to operate as organizations, have systems in place that are helping us to track our incomes and helping us to track our expenses. When I gained this knowledge back in 2015, 16, since then, every month I can pull out my Google Sheet. You will know, even including the pound, £1, the £2, £3, all of them recorded and noted. And I'm going back every month and doing, reflecting on those figures and the impact those expenses are having on my investment and savings and all of that. So that's very, very important. How much is it that you are earning and how much you are spending? Obviously the difference will be the the buffer that you can sort of either put to emergency funding and to put to investment and savings and all of that. Okay, right. The next thing that I think, like you've already mentioned, which is very important, is that whatever you are buying, remember, if you live in a very complex world like our UK, United Kingdom, where you can get the same thing from this shop at this price, you go to another shop, the same thing there is at a certain price, or the same thing manufactured by the same company, but branding for Tesco and branding for us, that just the wrapper that is they are using to, rubber that they're using to wrap it is what is bringing the difference. You must know that. And so remember that when you are putting out, when you are spending that £1, make sure you are getting value for money. So for me, value for money is another thing that I do. In the UK, there are bills that we pay. Make sure you are in those bills. Make sure that you are reviewing regularly. That's something that people don't do. And as an accountant with clients, I have come across this many times where people have been with the same supplier, same provider for so many years. They've never reviewed whether they could be getting a better deal elsewhere, which they should be moving to. They haven't done that at all. You know, if you think your income is not enough, add value to yourself. Develop a skill, add value to yourself, and value yourself. Get a CV, get a coach, get someone to help you, to mentor you, and to get into, or even retrade and get into a new area of profession which can give you, which can earn you what, more money. That's also something that you want to do. There are things that waste money. Remember that not all assets or properties are assets, and not all liabilities are bad. This thing, on a different course, I'll be going into too much detail for you that would help you. But tonight, let me say this way: a liability could be something that is very, very good for you. Okay, given the circumstance around it, and a property may not be an asset. An asset is something that the net effect of it brings income to your household. Okay, so if you buy a car, that is a property. Nobody will argue with that. But the thing is with assets is that we are either keeping them for capital appreciation, or we are keeping them to generate income monthly. Okay, or whatever period you set for yourself. When I say income, that means that asset is working and it's bringing you a net inflow. When I say capital appreciation, I mean you are keeping it so that the value will go up and then you will sell it later and make profit. Okay, so for instance, if you buy a house in the UK, even if you buy at the times when house prices are very high, when they dip, they will definitely come up again and exceed all-time highs. If you look at the historical price of properties in the UK, houses, they are always going up. So if you buy a house in the UK, if you keep it for a few years, you will be making some money. All things being equal, you'll be making some money out of it. That we can look at it as an asset, because maybe you are keeping it for capital appreciation, or maybe you are renting a buy to let, so it's making income for you every month. Take away the mortgages and other costs, you get income. So it's an asset. But if you buy a car and it's not a van that is working to bring you income, but it's just a car you drive for luxury or for things, remember it's a liability, especially for these things that people are just, not just the car, but also they take finance, and the interest cost is huge, and all you are doing is just satisfying your ego. Such a person, unfortunately, is not a case, but you're going, until you change your mind, if perpetually, and even the generations after you, if they don't change their mind, they are going to remain in poverty. You're only going to be acting rich, but you're going to be, in reality, you will be a poor person. So these things are things we have to check, and have to make sure that we are making the right financial decisions. You've got to be numerate and understand these things. If not, get an accountant, and I'm here. Get a coach, and there's a coach there. And obviously, make sure you get some money and put it aside for the future uncertainty. But honestly, the number one reason people are failing with money is that a lot of people think money is to spend. That's one thing that, for me, I can summarize it tonight. That people think money is to spend. When they think of money, they are thinking of drive the big car, live in that big house. But money actually is not to spend in that sense. And until you change that fundamental belief, which is wrong, you will see money as spending. And the moment money comes and you spend, it's gone. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. You've poured out so much. One thing I noticed, there is something which I took notes. One thing that you said there is a lot of people do not record either their income or expenditure. And what you don't record, you cannot track.
Nope.
What you don't track, you cannot monitor. What you're not monitoring, you can never improve. So people wonder, where is my money gone to?
Hmm.
The only way for you to trace the steps back is go back to your records
That's right.
and see, what have I been spending money on? I'll challenge anyone who is listening to this. Do you want to humor yourself? Sit down, get a piece of paper. Over the last 10 years, approximate how much is come into your hands every month and every year. Times that amount by 10, roughly. Let's assume, be conservative about that, and look at the life you are living right now. Does it reflect that number you come up with? You'll be shocked how much is gone through your hands. And I'm saying this regardless of where you are in the world. There are some people indeed who are struggling, but majority of the people struggling is not a result of circumstances, but is a result of the decisions they've made. There is this saying that, when you were born, you look like your parents, but when you die, you look like the decisions you make.
Mm.
This guy
Mm.
said something,
Mm.
what's it called? Bill Gates. He said, if you're born rich, he said, if you are born poor, it is not your fault. He said, but if you die poor, it is your fault. What is he trying to say? He's trying to say from birth till death, there is an opportunity available to most people to change their life based on the decisions they've made. And decision is something I follow closely. Understand your decision-making process. See, money is spent mostly before you got it. I was speaking to someone I was coaching. I was telling them, I said, look, these expenses you made, you didn't just make it now. You made it the first time you saw the adverts.
Yes.
It was because the money is not arrived, you didn't buy it. You think, no, I'm saving. No, you're not conservative. Most of us, the car we want, we've already bought it in our head. The day
That's right.
we have that money,
Mm.
we purchase that item and we think we just purchased the item. No, you've
Mm.
purchased it long before, but
Mm.
because you did not have access to. So that's why when I see wealthy people who are modest, it takes a lot to have access to abundance and still being a good custodian of that. That muscle of discipline that builds. That's why, look at Bill Gates. We've been talking about him being wealthy for over 30, 40 years.
That's right.
And the man is still part of the top 10 richest in the world. And when you see this man, he looks very casual.
Mm.
When you look at this, look at what's it called? Warren Buffett. Everybody,
Mhm.
they call him the oracle of the oracle of, is it Omaha? When you talk about investing, is one of the investment. It was one is one of the greats. This man has lived in the same house for the past 40 years. Why? There is more to, if to him. It is not about when I get the first million, I spend it. No, like what you said is, What are we learning from the people who are actually wealthy? Not the people. See, most of us, the template we have is people acting rich.
Yeah.
We see our neighbor that just gone to pick a car 7.2 or 7.3,
Yeah.
paying £800 a month. Somebody who
Mm,
earns 2,003 a month,
mhm.
paying £800, on a car, who lives in a rented apartment that
Yeah.
the rent is 600.
Yeah.
So your car payment is higher than your house payment. So when
Well,
your house payment and your car payment is 75% of your take home, how will you not suffer? How
mm,
will you not
mm,
struggle?
mm, mm,
There's this rule of thumb. Anytime your monthly mortgage or house rent is more than 25% of your net take home, you are already in financial trouble.
mhm,
Go and test it with everybody who has done well with money.
mm,
And I know, Gaman, you know that number. You know your number does not even get to 25% because
mhm, mhm.
we have a choice where we live.
Oh yes, this country. If you, I mean, obviously, like somebody like you, if you wanted to drive, which are the expensive cars? I know tomorrow you will be there. you you just have to flex your muscle a bit, and it will be there. But you know, Sam, I wish to really add to that point. It's all here, and that is why learning is important. You know, money is not the first thing you should be getting. The first thing is knowledge about money and how it works. If money will expose your character, okay? So better work on your character so that when small money comes, you are not exposed as a foolish person. Better work on your character so that you are not exposed as a stupid man. And I'm using these words without any fine quoting it, because that is true. Money will it's like I always say that money is a magnifying lens. It will reveal and magnify, bring out the man that is inside of that container walking. Okay, so let's gain wisdom first about this thing called money, because if you don't know it, you meet £100,000, to you it will be like someone who's made £1 billion, and immediately you will show that you didn't have wisdom, so the money will leave you like that. I've told you that I've met people who won lottery, and then some of the things that they did, I can't even call it here. That tells you that they didn't even plan about it, and that's probably another topic. But it's something you have to do. Plan. If you're working, be expectant. I'm working towards this. If I get £1 million, I'm doing this and that and that and that and that. Remember what Sam said. You just said, coach, that we have already spent that thing before money came. So if you have a plan, once it comes, that money is going into it. But if you don't have a plan and it comes, well, maybe you had a plan to buy a Lamborghini or whatever it is, and so the money came and you bought it. So right now is not a time. If you don't have £1 million or £1 billion, it's not time to be rushing. Don't be. Let's come out of that madness on social media today. You see, and get a mentor, a coach locally, and work with that person and gain knowledge and gain wisdom. Because opportunities, from what I have seen in this life, no matter where you are in this world, opportunities will come. It
Yeah,
will come.
yeah,
So seek wisdom first, and when opportunities come, you will see what you do. Look at what the what's his name, Joseph. Look at what he made Egypt to become. Knowledge, wisdom came, the opportunity came, and rather than spending and making and wasting in that abundance, look at what he did. He said, we need to put away, we need to save, let us prepare ourselves. And when hard times came, the little that they had gave them an opportunity for many people to come in the world. So all of these simple decisions that you are making, you are preparing yourself for a higher opportunity that is coming up. And when people turn to Egypt, Egypt even prospered more, because many people now knew Egypt because of a decision someone made. Don't leave this meeting and go like that. Really am speaking to somebody. Don't leave this meeting. It is not too small. If you are not motivated, get a coach. There are some coaches that they're not even interested in the money that they are charging you. Maybe that is to make you disciplined. So get a coach, get someone to motivate you. A penny there, a pound there, a naira there, a CD here. Trust me, an opportunity will come, and you put your hand in that investment or savings, and you will change your life and the life of many people to come for good. Me and poverty, we can never cross again. We can never ever cross again, because my brother is here, he knows what I'm talking about. We can't, it's not even possible. And when you're seeking wisdom, wisdom does, that it makes you humble, so that when money comes, you are not puffed up. Money makes you humble. Sorry, wisdom makes you humble. You are looking at people who have done it and looking at their life, and you are learning a lot. And in that humility, money cannot pump you and puff you up. And because it can't pump and puff you up, when you get it, not in excitement, but in a very sound mind, you are making decisions which are multiplying the money that you have received. Thank you so much.
Thank you so, so, so much. It's been an amazing session, and it's one of those things which I wish we could go on again and again and again. But I'm sure in the not too distant future, we'll be bringing you back on another amazing topic. We don't know what that is going to be. So thank you for honoring us. And once again, to all our viewers, you can see on the screen here myself, and you can see right behind Ogamani there, myself and Ogamani, amongst others. We have people like Coach Shola Adeshaki, is going to be in London next week, Sunday. We have Paul Fo. We have, I can name so many giants that are going to be there. And it is the dining and aligning your finances. Next week, Sunday in London, just scan the code there, register. Do you know it's actually now available that you can actually, have the events virtually? So if you want to be part of the virtual members, you could not travel to London, scan it there, watch it, register virtually. You don't want to miss that. It's an opportunity for you to what? Seek knowledge. And one thing that is happening right now, which I teach people now, there is we are at a very, very, very interesting junction in life.
That's right.
The financial pillar of the pillars of the global financial infrastructure is being realigned.
That's right.
What is going to be money and how finances will run for the next 100 years
Hmm.
is actually being set aligned in this coming decade.
That's right.
People in the next 50, 60, 70 years will look back and they will talk about this decade we are in, because that is when the financial infrastructure is being realigned. And
Hmm.
for you to know what is happening, be a step ahead. You want to be with the people that are in the know. So please scan the barcode and we see you on Sunday. Until next time, Coach, Accountant, Mansford Asante, thank you very much. Partner is very grateful.
Thank you so
It's good
much.
to have you here. So
Thank
to
you.
everybody who's here,
Thank you.
thank you very much. And we see
Thank
you
you.
again. Remember, same time, end of next month, last Sunday of every month. The money series, you and your money series continue, and we're going to be back with series 5. Thank you, and God bless.
Bless you all. Thank you. And see you in London. Thank you.
All right, then. See you in London then.
Cheers. Bye.